Oh, what the
Stop whatever you're doing, because the internet just face-planted into the wildest fictional leak of the year. The kind of clip so messy, so unhinged, it makes the Selena versus Hailey saga look like a polite tea date. Out of nowhere, a so-called secret video popped up showing Chrisean rock joking, hinting and playfully bragging about jumping Coi Leray, and the online world lost its ability to blink. The video itself feels like a deleted scene from a Zeus reality special that got rejected for being too chaotic. It's too sarcastic and way too explosive for TV. Screenshots spread. Voiceovers erupted. Fan pages practically short-circuited from excitement. People watched it like they'd just found leaked government files instead of pure entertainment chaos. The way Chrisean laughed, teased, and dropped sly one-liners had spectators convinced this was the confession clip of the century. Memes flew faster than breakups in Hollywood. TikTok detectives stamped imaginary badges on their chests and began rewinding every millisecond as if it were FBI evidence. Some swore the tone was playful. Others screamed it was coded sarcasm. But all agreed on one thing. This fictional bomb drop had no business being as dramatic as it was. If you thought celebrity feuds were already insane, this leak just rewrote the definition. The internet didn't just wake up today. It woke up slapped in the face by a fictional clip so chaotic, so theatrically unserious, it instantly became the newest obsession of scandal-hungry timelines. The moment the Chrisean confession video dropped, the collective gasp could have powered a small city. The clip showed her leaning into the camera with that signature mix of boldness and sarcasm, talking like someone telling a bedtime story laced with fireworks. She teased, she joked, she grinned. And somewhere in that playful whirlwind came the loose talk confession line that sent everyone spiraling. "Y'all act like I didn't jump Coi Leray?" delivered with smirks and dramatic tone. The fictional moment hit harder than any actual headline. Within minutes, fan pages treated the clip like holy scripture. Edits popped up with red arrows circling her eye movements, captions claiming there were hidden messages, and slow-motion rewinds as if she'd whispered state secrets between syllables. One TikTok detective swore her wink counted as confirmation. Another argued the entire thing was code, like Chrisean was trolling the world with a performance worthy of an award. Nobody paused long enough to remember this was fiction. People dove so deep into the villain-hero fantasy that logic became optional. Comment sections exploded into dramatic dissertations. Some took the fictional joke literally, screeching that the video proved everything. Others argued she was clearly trolling the way influencers brag about things. They never did just to send the internet into cardiac arrest for sport. But dramatic exaggeration works like caffeine. One half of the internet played defense, insisting she meant nothing serious. The other half flipped tables and sharpened pitchforks, convinced the jumping story was a coded confession from a woman who thrives off chaotic humor and chaos-flavored storytelling. That fictional snippet turned into a full-blown investigation no detective ever requested. People started digging for motive, opportunity, location, and timeline, as if tracking down a missing artifact. Screenshots resurfaced of Coi Leray brushing off drama months ago, now repackaged as proof she was hiding bruised ego energy. Even completely normal selfies got labeled post-jump recovery looks. Every post became a hint, every silence became symbolism, and every lyric in both their songs got dissected like cryptic runes predicting battle. What really poured gasoline on the digital bonfire was the tone. Chrisean had in that fictional clip half comedic, half mysterious, and fully mischievous. She didn't deliver her words like someone apologizing. She sounded like someone giggling at the audience reaction. And that triggered the internet's worst reflex, assuming sarcasm equals confession. The fake rumor mutated into a fantasy where Chrisean was cast as street royalty with hands certified by the Department of Chaos. serving jumping energy with comedic flair. Meanwhile, Coi Leray, who hadn't even been involved in this fictional scene, got inserted like an unwilling supporting character. People clipped old Coi interviews, claiming her calm voice hinted she was over the situation. One fan even said Coi's perfectly regular gym selfie looked like emotional recovery. Ladies and gentlemen, is how internet imagination converts dust into diamonds. Fiction got dressed up as reality because audiences crave shock more than facts. It wasn't enough that the clip was obviously satirical. People wanted it dramatic. Dangerous and scandal-flavored.influencer pages capitalized immediately. They reposted the fictional video with captions like, "This is wild," and "She really said IT." You could practically hear their keyboards clacking with excitement. Reaction channels paused everything to film 12-minute breakdowns with dramatic thumbnails and titles like, "Did she expose herself?" Commentators spoke in hushed voices, acting like they'd uncovered crime scene material instead of playful drama content. They treated every pixel like a clue, even though the entire thing was clearly entertainment and viewers. They responded exactly how the internet always does. Emotionally first, logically, never. Fans loyal to Chrisean defended her like knights around a castle, saying she clearly joked, clearly exaggerated, clearly gave the internet a riddle because she knew people fall for anything mysterious. Others saw the fictional bragging line as washing the dishes with gasoline, the kind of wild preload, sarcastic commentary only someone with her personality could pull off. They didn't see a confession. They saw Chrisean flexing her ability to make timelines combust without lifting a finger. But the opposite crowd latched onto the dramatics like hungry paparazzi. They rewrote fantasy into pseudo-history. They imagined late-night parking lot fights, secret events, whispered grudges, an imaginary drama that would make Zeus Network riot with jealousy. They wanted Chrisean and Coi in the same room throwing animal-evil hands. They wanted dramatic build-ups, camera flashes, behind-the-scenes beef, voice note leaks, and cinematic confrontation. They wanted to believe she jumped someone not because it was true, but because it felt entertaining. The clip itself was barely 30 seconds, but its fictional impact stretched into long threads, heated debates, and digital screaming matches. Some called Chrisean the creator of chaos theater, claiming she purposely fed exaggerated energy to send the internet into meltdown mode. Others swore she was parodying celebrity scandals, mocking how fans treat every joke as real evidence. And honestly, if that was her intention in this fictional universe, it worked almost too well. Because nobody loves chaos more than people online with free time and overcharged imagination. Suddenly, even the way Chrisean blinked became symbolism. Rumor chasers insisted. Her grin hinted she was remembering the moment. Others said the tone shift halfway. Through her sentence proved she was dropping truth by accident. The funniest part? Nobody questioned the absence of proof. They just built worlds based on one sarcastic clip. Because in gossip culture, imagination outranks evidence every time. For hours, the fictional scenario snowballed. Comment threads filled with sass, fury, jokes, outrage, and straight-faced seriousness. People asked whether Coi would respond, whether Chrisean would clarify, whether a second video would leak. Users posted countdowns titled "Waiting for Part 2," even though there wasn't supposed to be one. Dramatic minds demanded a sequel. People wanted more clues, more tension, more lines to pick apart, like forensic analysts. The fictional moment became a fandom investigation powered by adrenaline. And zero facts. And if you stepped back for 1 second, the entire thing became hilarious. Chrisean's exaggerated tone, the playful bragging, the obvious satirical style, it screamed entertainment. But once the internet smells drama, everything turns into theology. The rumor had momentum. It had traction. It had meme templates. And once a storyline reaches that stage, fiction doesn't stay fiction. It becomes lore, and lore evolves faster than truth, from the outside looking in. The wildest part wasn't the fictional clip itself. It was how instantly people chose sides, demanded accountability, performed outrage, and frantically rewound frames for non-existent signals. The very idea that Chrisean could have jumped Coi Leray became less about possibility and more about emotional thrill. Fans didn't question it. They wanted to believe it enough to imagine it in 4K like a deleted reality episode. The scandal spiraled not because it was real, but because it was irresistible. And that was only the beginning. If the rumor started as a spark, the reaction phase turned it into a flaming meteor. The fictional jumping confession clip became the centerpiece of a cultural circus, where timelines spun like roller coasters and commentators acted like they'd just witnessed a celebrity secret tribunal. Suddenly, everyone was a behavioral expert, light reader, and sarcasm interpreter. Creators went frame by frame, insisting Chrisean's smirk meant guilt. Her laugh meant pride, and the way she tilted her head was the universal gesture for I did it and I meant it. It was theater at its finest to accept the audience. Wrote the script while pretending it was evidence. Memes exploded at record speed. One viral edit dressed Chrisean like a GTA character with the caption, "Mission passed, Coi jumped." Another inserted Coi into a mock Mortal Kombat duel. See? Mock Mortal Kombat duel. See? Complete with sound effects and health bars. People recreated imaginary episodes of a non-existent series called The Leray Showdown. Even the most innocent clip of Coi eating ice cream was reinterpreted by social detectives as healing energy. Fiction had officially invaded reality like a cheesy soap opera that refused to take itself seriously. Celebrities started chiming in with cryptic popcorn emojis and indirect statements about wild industry rumors. They didn't name names. They didn't mention the fictional clip. But vague enough is always dangerous enough. Fans took every cryptic whisper, every ambiguous reaction, and slammed it onto the rumor like superglue. A rapper threw up the classic "mind your business" line, and suddenly, overnight, he became a theorized witness to the non-existent jump. Another influencer said people love to exaggerate, and commenters twisted it into, he's clearly confirming something happened. The way audiences invent meaning out of nothing should honestly be studied by science. Reaction channels became armchair documentaries. YouTubers dropped 20-minute breakdowns with titles like "The Truth Behind Chrisean's Confession Video." They spoke slowly, with hushed voices and dramatic pauses, as though analyzing rare footage of a UFO sighting. Conspiracy TikToks began tracing fictional breadcrumbs, blurred backgrounds, mysterious shadows, lip-synced audio overlays. One creator even made a mock courtroom, complete with fake closing arguments. It wasn't journalism, it was performance art disguised as scandal, built on a foundation of pure imagination. But things only escalated when fan gossip pages started claiming there was extra footage that had never actually existed. They dropped screenshots of random street hallways, cropped restaurant corners, and parking lots at midnight, claiming this is where it went. Down they circled blurry strangers as possible witnesses, even though those strangers probably had no idea they'd been drafted into a fantasy brawl between two completely uninvolved celebrities. Overanalysis became a sport, and everyone was competing for gold. Of course, the fictional leak also triggered a heavy wave of exaggerated outrage. Commenters demanded apologies from Chrisean, explanations from Coi, and statements from figures who had no involvement whatsoever. A small crowd even created hashtags like #JumpGate and #JusticeForCoi, acting as though solving a fictional mystery was a noble cause. When Coi posted a selfie with normal lighting, people analyzed whether the angle suggested she'd taken time to recover. When Chrisean shared a laugh with friends, viewers swore it was proof she felt victorious. The imagination to accusation pipeline practically broke the sound barrier. Some defenders of Chrisean flipped the narrative, arguing that the fictional brag was clearly sarcasm, a trolling strategy to expose how quickly people invent storylines without having proof. They insisted Chrisean was commenting on society's obsession with turning celebrities into living episodes of chaos television. And ironically, that interpretation didn't sound wrong, because the moment people saw the exaggerated tone, they still turned it into investigative cinema. If her goal had been to demonstrate how gullible the masses are, mission accomplished with honors. Coi Leray, meanwhile, turned into the internet's fictionalized symbol of mysterious silence. Fans interpreted her normal posting as coded self-defense. Others called it the calm of someone too unbothered to dignify fake scandals. The less she reacted, the more intensely watchers studied her captions. Innocent lines like "focus on growth" became alleged proof that she was rising above the drama. A heart emoji became emotional healing. That's the absurd power of viral delusion. Everyday life gets remixed into a storyline with imaginary bruises, invisible wars, and conspiratorial confessions that never happened. Even the music industry blogs hopped aboard, writing speculative think pieces about how female unity in entertainment is fragile and competitive. They waxed poetic about Coi and Chrisean as though they were political leaders negotiating global peace treaties. One columnist claimed the fictional jump video was symbolic of clashing aesthetic visions. If someone wrote a paper on ancient hieroglyphs with similar logic, nobody would pass the class but online. Dramatized overreach earns applause. Meanwhile, the fan base divide widened. Some demanded accountability for the fake admission. Others laughed at anyone taking the joke seriously. The funniest twist was watching people rage fight in comment sections about something nobody could even prove happened. Because the entire saga was a fictional spark blown up by collective imagination. It was all vibes, no receipts. But vibes alone were enough to start wars. And just when the wildfire seemed to reach peak intensity, reaction pages began, posting leaked messages that clearly came from random text generators. They labeled names, invented timestamps, added dramatic quotes like, "You know what you did?"
Okay.
And slapped Chrisean's profile picture next to it. Somehow, viewers still debated authenticity as if they'd been offered access to classified documents. When drama tastes good, nobody checks the ingredients, of course. The ultimate twist came from fans staging reenactments of the imaginary confrontation. One creator filmed a comedic parking lot reenactment with wigs, camera shakes, and fake punches. Another staged a living room skit titled "How It Went Down." The more fictionalized it got, the more people believed it should have happened, could have happened, or maybe almost did. And that strange paradox made the entire saga evolve from rumor into folklore. Commentators even compared the fictional leak to classic pop culture combat moments. Nicki versus Miley, Cardi versus The Shoe, Kim versus Chloe, even Selena versus Francia. They said the energy felt mythic, like two archetypes colliding in the digital subconscious. That's the level of unhinged analysis the internet is capable of. Turning a joke into urban mythology with sacred origin stories, fan tribes, and symbolic interpretation. As the dust swirled, people finally realized no new evidence would drop. No real confession was coming. No footage existed. No confrontation occurred. The fictional clip had no location, no date, no witnesses. And the longer it existed, the clearer it became that everything had come from tone, sarcasm, and people dragging imagination into stadium seating. Yet the internet didn't let go quietly. Even as reality crept in, many clung to the idea that something might have happened. That maybe the fictional brag was actually a metaphor. That maybe Coi and Chrisean once had minor tension somewhere on Earth. The rumor didn't die, just wandered into that weird space where nobody actually believes it. But nobody fully lets go either. Because if there's one thing this entire fictional saga proved, it's that click culture loves shock more than proof, chaos more than context, and drama more than accuracy. A playful smirk, a sarcastic laugh, And one wild line delivered in a mischievous tone was enough to feed thousands of imaginations, like a five-star buffet. Nobody waited for context. Nobody asked whether it was satire. They just dove in headfirst, baptized themselves in scandal water, and fought in imaginary trenches. And as wild as it got, everyone secretly enjoyed the madness. Because in the digital era, scandal isn't just consumed eventually. The frenzy slowed just enough for people to start asking the question they'd avoided all along. What actually happened here? When viewers went back to the fictional clip without the adrenaline haze, they noticed what had been obvious from the start: Chrisean's exaggerated delivery. Her sarcastic tone and her playful energy didn't resemble a confession at all. It looked like entertainment, chaos theater. One big joke aimed straight at the internet's pressure points, like tossing a single popcorn kernel into a volcano and letting the eruption speak for itself. Commentators who once treated the line like sworn testimony began posting hesitant clarifications. Suddenly, the same pages that screamed, "She admitted IT," grew cautious, typing softer captions like, "Maybe it was satire." Reaction creators who read the clip like an open court confession began editing new videos, admitting the entire wildfire might have been a collective overreaction. Some even tried to spin the moment into a social experiment narrative, claiming Chrisean's fictional claim highlighted the public's addiction to scandal. The irony: they were still trying to act like they had cracked a genius master plan instead of admitting they just ran with a dramatic joke because it was spicy Coi Leray's fictional involvement faded into thin air too, when people realized she had never spoken, posted, hinted, or reacted to any of the chaos. The narrative started to look embarrassing. Screenshots that were once framed like conspiratorial artifacts now looked like harmless posts from a musician living her life. What was once interpreted as silent recovery suddenly looked like ordinary peace. The shift was instant. Those who once demanded she respond to the situation started quietly deleting their comments. Like digital footprints swept under the rug, the algorithm, however, had already done its job. The fictional confession rumor made a full lap through the internet ecosystem, through TikTok conspiracies, reaction streams, meme factories, gossip pages, and comment battles. It proved something deeply uncomfortable about digital culture. Once a narrative goes viral, truth becomes optional. Timing, tone, and tension mean more than evidence. A sarcastic smirk can be mistaken for a grand reveal. A joke becomes folklore. Fiction becomes temporary fact if it entertains enough people. Romanticizing the whole saga like it belonged in a time capsule. Many started calling it the funniest scandal meltdown in a while, mourning its end as if it were a discontinued TV series. People clipped their favorite memes, saved their favorite conspiracy comments, and joked that the fictional clip deserved a reality show spin-off purely because of how outrageous the reaction had become. They didn't want to admit they got carried away, so they treated the rumor like classic internet lore, something to laugh at rather than apologize for. But the quiet aftermath held something more lingering than humor. A few watchers began asking how many scandals in pop culture begin this way, from tone, sarcasm, misunderstanding, or projection. They wondered how many public feuds started over misinterpreted expressions, the same way this fictional clip exploded. Comment sections turned reflective, acknowledging how dangerously easy it is to build entire narratives out of nothing but energy, assumption, and collective imagination. If Chrisean's fictional joke had been taken seriously enough to spawn memes and battles, what could happen when stakes are higher? The storyline also shifted public perception of Chrisean herself, not in scandal, but in cultural recognition. People started praising her fictional clip as unintentional satire. Even those who didn't like her admitted she had single-handedly exposed the internet's thirst for conflict. She didn't throw punches. She didn't make accusations. She said a few chaotic, sarcastic words, and the public did the rest of the work. Some called it unintentional genius. Others called it accidental social commentary. Either way, It proved how fast the crowd jumps to conclusions if a narrative feels juicy. This fictional saga also reminded everyone how quickly the internet idolizes confrontation. The rumor only exploded because the idea of two big-name women locked in secret combat felt thrilling to witness. Fans reveled in the imaginary drama more than they cared for clarity. Without any proof, they built scenes, mapped motives, and twisted facial expressions into coded information. It was theater made from thin air because scandal culture doesn't need real conflict. Just the suggestion of it, and through all of it, Coi Leray's fictional silence became a strangely powerful symbol. Her absence from the story made people realize how much of the frenzy was self-authored. No reaction, no tears, no anger, just quiet. That absence served as proof of nothing, but it dismantled everything. Because when one of the involved names didn't even acknowledge the rumor, people were forced to face the truth. The scandal didn't exist anywhere, except the public imagination. Yet, even as the truth settled, a small cluster of die-hard dramatics refused to detach from the narrative. They insisted the fictional clip still felt like something more. They swore there had to be a deeper meaning, because internet conspiracies never die. They just shrink and find another dark corner to lurk in. They wrote fan-fiction-level theories, convinced something happened years ago. Backstage, or behind a security door nobody filmed, the rumor evolved into ghost story territory, living on not because anyone believed it, but because everyone enjoyed the fantasy. On the flip side, a new wave of viewers began praising both Chrisean and Coi for staying unbothered. The fictional meltdown made them look untouchable, powerful, and perfectly capable of ignoring madness when needed. Some even said the two should collaborate musically just to troll everyone who fell for the drama. Others claimed the fictional tension could be spun into entertainment gold if they leaned into it with humor. The scandal created a fictional timeline so entertaining that fans were already scripting sequels. But beneath every joke and conspiracy sat one massive realization. The internet's appetite for conflict is so intense that sarcasm alone can be mistaken for violence. Comedy can be misread as confession. And exaggeration becomes lore faster than anyone can breathe. It didn't matter that Chrisean wasn't serious, that the line was fiction, or that nothing happened in reality. The rumor traveled at the speed of Wi-Fi and mutated because people love entertainment, even if it's based on absolutely nothing. By the time the dust settled, the fictional scandal became a cultural case study. Reaction channels milked it. Fan communities fought over it. Meme artists stretched it into comedy. And the clip that started it all became a reminder that scandal culture doesn't require real villains, it just needs imagination, editing apps, and a spark of chaos. It doesn't take evidence to start a wildfire. Just attitude, sarcasm, and people who can't resist adding fuel. And in the end, both Chrisean and Coi walked out untouched in this fictional universe. No beef, no fallout, no confrontation. Just a playful line that mutated into one of the funniest overreactions the internet has ever hosted. Their reputations survived. The rumor dissolved. And the public was left with the unforgettable embarrassment of having turned satire into near-mythology. Because once people get intoxicated on chaos, truth feels boring. Rumor becomes community theater. And scandal becomes folklore written by strangers who just wanted drama in their feed. This wasn't a confession. It was a mirror. A reminder that sometimes the wildest stories don't come from celebrities at all, but from the people who watch them. And there it is. Scandal-hungry legends, the fictional confession clip that fooled half the internet, shook algorithm walls and proved once again that sometimes the wildest drama isn't real at all. It's just imagination dressed in controversy. A sarcastic one-liner, a mischievous grin, and boom, millions turned into detectives, lawyers, psychologists, and historians overnight. If chaos really had a queen, she'd be laughing right now. The entire meltdown was the funniest accidental social experiment ever recorded. Now I need you in the comments. Did you believe the fictional jump rumor for even 1 second? Did you decode the clip like a federal file? Were you writing for Coi? Or did you just sit back with popcorn, watching the world spiral because the internet loves drama more than daylight? Be brutally honest, we're all friends here in the land of scandal satire. And if you live for this kind of explosive breakdown, hit that like button like it owes you child support. Smash subscribe so hard the algorithm files a restraining order. Turn on notifications because Secret Scoop never sleeps, never blinks, and never misses a fictional storyline worth dissecting. When another confession, leak, or mysterious emoji sets the timeline on fire, we'll be here first, laughing, narrating, and stirring the pot with sarcasm sharp enough to slice headlines. So stay messy, stay curious, and stay watching, because scandals never stop. Rumors never rest, and the internet will always find a way to turn sarcasm into cinema. Until the next leak drops and the next joke becomes mythology. This has been Secret Scoop, where imagination becomes entertainment and entertainment becomes legend. Entertainment becomes legend.